Hello, everybody. We've got a good crowd. I know we sent out a survey a few years ago, and one of the biggest topics was the old arena. So we finally found Ken Weintraub, which you all have known. He's been here a few times, but he decided he would bring a presentation on the old arena to us. So I would like to introduce yet again Ken Weintraub.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. All right. What a crowd, I'll tell you. Tough crowd, all right? I better be prepared. And I think I am. So, bear with me, because we are going to have some fun today about maybe the most fun environment, the entertainment capital of the United States. And my friend Ken Winkler, Ken, stand up, please. Yeah, but they don't know that shirt.
I gotta see your shirt.
All right, do a 360. Show everybody. All right. Now, if we got any Blackhawks fans, get out of here. All right, now, hold on. We're going to have some fun. Let's listen to a song that some of you may be familiar with. Here we go. 1 second.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
All right.
Still playing.
It's a Saturday night in St. Louis. The Blackhawks are in town, fighting for first place in the Central Division. Jen, and suddenly, the lights go out, and your St. Louis Blues hit the ice at the St. Louis Arena. Do I have this on? Can everybody hear the St. Louis Blues March? Now, who is the orchestra that achieved world fame in the late 1930s? They were the General Motors of the band business. Who? The Glenn Miller Orchestra. This was his Army Air Force band, who my beloved late father saw in England just a month before Major Glenn Miller passed away over the English Channel to entertain the troops in Europe. In France, liberated France, and then he has been beloved ever since. All right, so thank you for remembering. What a way to start St. Louis Blues hockey, and they should revive that song when they come in now. All right, now, all right, St. Louis Arena. The magic and the memories. What was it built for? Cows, right. You got to remember, hockey was in its infancy. Literally creating artificial ice had only been invented a few years before, and only a very few cities had it. But we were in the center of the agricultural belt of the United States of America. And Missouri, Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, Arkansas were all great producers of milk and related dairy products. Well, the National Dairy Council used to have these great shows, exhibitions to literally demonstrate to retailers and wholesalers all the great dairy products available in the 1920s. Well, they outgrew the old auditoriums around the Midwest where they would have their shows, their conventions. So the National Dairy Council and exhibitors literally chose a site in the center of the greatest city in North America, St. Louis, Missouri. And does anybody remember the address? 5700 Oakland Avenue. And if I may, this was the finished product, and we'll see other pictures, but by then, architects in the United States, particularly after World War I, had discovered a very novel practice and functioning developed in Italy called lamella domes, meaning the arena was literally the first dome stadium in the United States. Think about it. Everybody thinks the Astrodome was. No, not at all. The lamella dome, remember when you go and how the roof was not flat, but to deal with maximizing the seating in the upper level, and to, when you had, and we know it from a month ago, ice storms or big snowstorms, which could cave in a flat roof. The brilliance of the arena was, as you could see, a curved dome roof. And in 1928, you could see the skeletal structure of the origin of the lamella dome that ultimately would be completed and be a hallmark feature of our arena. Jen? Now, some great photos here. Most people, maybe your parents and grandparents, didn't have cars, or maybe they only had one car. And Papa had to use that car to go to work in downtown or the steel mills and chemical plants. So, if there was an exhibition, a show, a game, a circus, we're going to talk about all the things occurred, we had to take the streetcar. And how many of you ever took a streetcar when you were kids? Look at this. Jen, that is unbelievable. Here we go. Now, which streetcar lines did you take?
Forest Park.
Forest
Grand
Park.
Avenue.
Grand Avenue. Who else?
West.
Which one? Roadway. Broadway. And then, okay, these great lines had transfer points for the most part, except for Forest Park, where you could get off and literally walk, because 5700 Oakland Avenue was across the street from the great arena. Look at that arena at this point with the original towers. And we know when they were blown away, when you were already young parents, at the great tornado of 1959. Blown away. But the arena, except for a hole in the roof, and a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing, the sponsor of the Blues, survived. The great arena. But the streetcars, remember those? And all routes led to Forest Park from different points, north, south, west, and from the county, and of course, Illinois and downtown. And you could see in the early 1950s, an arena that the streetcars still going through the city of St. Louis. That, my friends, that's when this country was great. For a nickel, nickel. Mom or Dad or Uncle Sid or Aunt Rose, Uncle Louie would give you a nickel or maybe $1 for a ticket and all the popcorn, hot dogs, and ice cream that you could eat. All right, now, buses, trolleys, and streetcars allow easy access to the arena. Now, you have to drive to arenas and stadiums everywhere. Most, not all, in suburban locations. The National Dairy Council was brilliant in its decision to put it right in the center of our great metropolis. Jen? Now, what did the arena host? Now, I'm going to add a few things, but I want you to add. But, conventions, big and small. Originally, dairy conventions, but later, from machinists to political conventions, state Democratic, state Republican, state independents, rallies for freedom before the wars, concerts, political rallies, horse shows. Yes, boy, that place had an odor about it that I think lingered until when I started going. Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. And remember the great shrine circuses, the charitable affairs, where all the proceeds went to the Shriners Hospitals in St. Louis and elsewhere. One of the great charitable events in North America, the Shrine Circus, and boxing matches. And we had great champions here. Light heavyweight champion of the world, May 2nd, 1952, St. Louis's own Archie Moore wins a 15-round decision against Joey Maxim, the incumbent champion from Cleveland, and brings home the light heavyweight title to our great city, right in the center of the great arena floor. Boxing, and professional wrestling. Yes, we all watch wrestling at the Chase, but when there was the need for a bigger audience and the need for more than the keel could hold, promoter Sam Muchnick would bring in St. Louis and Lou Thez, world champion, Strangler Lewis, Sander Szabo, Killer Kowalski. Remember? Oh, God, I've seen some smiles. That elbow smash to the head. And Yukon Eric, who was built like a freight car. And Fritz von Erich with the claw. Remember the iron claw? Uh-oh. What's your name, ma'am? Paula. Now, Paula, did you go to wrestling matches? We're going to have dark secrets from Paula now. Paula, who was your favorite wrestler?
I don't remember.
Lou Thez. Lou Thez. And there was the ballet dancer, Ricky Starr, who wrestled, Wilbur Snyder, and so many others I loved. And we had the same wrestlers in my hometown come on Friday nights. Sunday was wrestling at the St. Louis Arena. We alluded to, and roller derby. Remember the Bay Area Bombers and their other local St. Louis teams, and particularly the women. They would scoot along, and they were tough. Those elbows were flying. Am I right? And then you would go home to your streets in South St. Louis and imitate them. You would go to the local toy store and buy those pair of skates, those metal skates with the skate key to tighten them up. I see you. You remember that. And then you would play roller derby, but without a helmet. And then, Jen, it's true. And then you'd go home and Mom would see these bruises on you. And all you could do was, Mom, I saw the great roller derby stars at the arena. I want to be just like them. But boy, the arena was fun. Now, Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts jamborees were also at the arena. I took my older son around 1986, 87 to a big model train show at the arena. What else did anybody ever see there? Remember, sir?
Graduations.
Graduations. What schools, Ken?
Well, a lot of the South Side schools went there early.
Right.
Roosevelt, Southwest,
Oh.
Cleveland,
Cleveland, McKinley,
Oh, yeah.
right.
CBC went there, we always had a march in there.
There you go.
St. Louis Hawks.
The oh,
What
of
a
course.
basketball, right?
Basketball played there on occasion, particularly pro, and we're going to get into the first NBA team that played there before the Hawks. All right? Who are they? Sir?
Neil Diamond Concert.
Neil Diamond Concert. Oh, sweet Caroline. All right. Oh, ma'am. Roy Rogers, and who, for $10,000, can name Roy Rogers' horse? Oh, all right. Whoever wants to go back, double or nothing. All right. Now, Roy Rogers' girlfriend and later wife was Dale Evans. Now, it's going to get tougher. For $50,000, all right, Jen, get the checkbook. In any case, all right, who was Roy Rogers' sidekick? Oh, who? He was not the one I'm thinking of.
Andy Devine.
Well, Andy Devine also, but there was someone else. Pat Brady. Pat Brady, and he rode a Jeep. Now, this is for $100,000 that will pay for my next appearance here at Mason Pointe. Take a note, Jen. In any case,
Work overtime.
all right. The name of the Jeep that Pat Brady drove on the Roy Rogers TV show was Nellie Bell. Oh, all right. I'm sorry. Well, all the money that any of you earned is gone now. All right. So, but you're right. And there were other great cowboy stars. Hopalong Cassidy and Gene Autry, who rode Champion. And Hopalong Cassidy's white horse was Topper. Topper, all right? And again, that's when this country was great. I mean, you'd wake up on a Saturday morning and you weren't watching these public television shows where everybody was lovey-dovey and hugging and kissing like you could do that my grandchildren watch now. I would wake up eating Kellogg's Sugar Frosted Flakes, all right, covered, I think it's my late mother calling. I'm sorry, Mom. But really, these people would come to the arena. And then you would watch a litany of TV shows where at least 7 people were killed on average before the first commercials. You know, the gunfights, the space shows, Rocky Jones Space Cadet, Hopalong Cassidy, Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, the Rifleman, and on and on. Again, it's amazing any of us survived that era. But so many of them visited us at the St. Louis Arena. Any other shows or exhibits that you saw?
Ice-capades.
Ice-capades. Oh, God, the Ice-capades and Shipstead and Johnson's Ice Follies.
Fireman's rodeo.
Right, and rodeos.
Fireman's Road, yeah.
Right, and bull riding, and on and on. And the great Sonia Henney, the greatest figure skater of the first half of the 20th century. Carol Heiss, gold medalist, American 1960 Winter Olympics at Lake Placid. But boy, those ice-capades, ice folly shows, they sold out. 19,000 people would be there, and some of you. Anybody ever see an ice show? All right. All right, Jen, let's move ahead. Let's see what else. Now, what else did the arena? In later years, there was indoor soccer. Remember, we are the soccer capital of the world. The 1950 World Cup champions who beat Brazil 1-0 were 90% boys from St. Louis, Missouri, the South Side. The 1950 World Cup champions. All righty? Now, indoor soccer was perfect. And we had a team that was called the St. Louis Steamers. Who said Steamers? What is your name, ma'am?
Nan.
All right, Nan, you're eligible for the grand prize.
$100. I got you.
Minimum. All right. Indoor soccer. And to this day, the Missouri Valley Conference, one of the great basketball leagues in the United States, has its March Madness tournament. Arch Madness, it's called. We didn't have an arch when we were kids. We had great department stores when all of you were kids. There was Famous and Bar. What else? Sticks, Bear, and Fuller. Scruggs and Vandervoot. There you go. Any others?
Lambert's Furniture.
Right, Lambert's Furniture. And then we go for lunch at the luncheonettes at the great Woolworth stores, W.T. Grant's, Kresge's, and then fortified with all those nutritious hamburger fries and milkshakes, we would go to the arena and see basketball. And we had men's basketball Final Fours and NCAA Frozen Four hockey, which is coming back to the successor to the arena, the Enterprise Center, this March. All righty, and soccer, basketball, and maybe the greatest college basketball game ever played was held in April of 1973 when the UCLA Bruins, led by the immortal Bill Walton, who just passed away 6 months ago, beat Memphis State on national TV. I was 23 years old watching that game. Walton had 44 points. Unstoppable at our arena on national TV. Next one. But somebody mentioned the NBA. Now, we're going to get into hockey in a minute. But in 1946, the GIs, your fathers, your uncles, your aunts who served in the Wax and the Waves came back. The economy, broken in the Depression, stopped during World War II, revived. There was money, and money for entertainment beyond the nickel movie theaters, or the dimes, or going to the Lowe's Steak, or the Fox, or the American.
50 cents.
50 cents. And what else did you buy when you went to the movies, sir?
Popcorn.
You bought popcorn. And what else? Juicy fruits. All right. I'll tell you, it's amazing all of you guys are still here. All right. Did you ever eat anything that wasn't laden with sugar or fats? I didn't. And I've got the double bypass to prove it. But here I am. All right. But in any case, pro basketball arrived with the beginning of the Bombers, the St. Louis Bombers, who were the original champions of what was called the BAA, the Basketball Association of America, that housed big city teams, Boston Celtics, the New York Knickerbockers, the Philadelphia Warriors, the St. Louis Bombers, the Chicago Packers, among a few others. And that league, the Bombers played in the arena. And again, patriotism reigned supreme. The American flags. This was just 1 year after VE and VJ Day. It made its debut in October 1946. The GIs were coming back. They had money in their hands from their severance. The GI Bill was creating new housing and the beginning of the suburbs that now many of you raised your children and even grandchildren in. The Claytons, the Creve-Coeurs, the Olivets, the Lindbergh School District, the Aftons, the great cities in North St. Louis all had bus lines, but later expressways, whether it was the Interbelt or Interstate 70 or 270 later on, but all roads led to our St. Louis Arena. Now, take a look at the shirts with shoulders covered by our Bombers facing the Philadelphia Warriors in 1947's BAA playoffs. The Bombers were an outstanding team that graced the hardwood at the arena in 1946 through 1950. Now, hockey. Remember a few minutes ago, and I am going to take a sip of water so I can continue. Remember the creation of artificial ice. It took a huge refrigeration plant that indoor arenas needed to have ice skating. And they began in local neighborhoods, but thank you. Now, if somebody has some vodka, I'll be glad to take it. So, in any case, St. Louis Arena realized the ownership that dairy shows and conventions and Scout-O-Ramas were not going to be enough. And they needed sports teams that could play 20, 30, 40 times a year, above and beyond college basketball. And hockey filled the bill. We had minor league teams, remember? Now, contest. Maybe the most popular minor league team began right before World War II, suspended during combat years, and resumed from 47 till 62. They were the St. Louis Flyers. All right, Kenny Wakeler, boy, you are hot today, I'll tell you. All right, the Flyers. And they were replaced by a Central League team that were a farm club of the St. Louis Hawks. And the Hawks, in those days, up in Chicago Stadium, didn't draw that many people. And there were years in the 50s that the Hawks played NHL games here at our arena. Let's move it on, okay? Now, we talked about the greatest show on earth. All righty. Now, I want to talk about the circus. How many rings did Ringling Brothers have on the arena floor? Three. All right. Who were some of the great acts? What type of acts entertained you? The Flying Wallendas. And they had a net or didn't have a net? They had a net sometimes. And other times, they did not. What other great circus acts?
Elephants.
Oh, the Elephants. Boy, I'll tell you, they were tough. The Elephants, and they would march in single file with a trunk attached to the tail of its predecessor in the ride. What other? Clowns. Lou Jacobs, the most famous clown, and who is really the most famous clown ever?
Emmett Kelly.
Emmett Kelly, there you go. All right, Emmett Kelly, the sad face. All righty, who never talked. What else?
Lion show.
Lions, tigers, and bears. And remember those bear acts? And there were always 3 simultaneous acts going on at once. And then the ringmaster would come in at the beginning, right at 8 p.m., the start of the show that you attended with your dates, your boyfriends, your girlfriends. You better behave, boys. And mom and dad and uncle Louie and Uncle Otto and Aunt Sylvia, Aunt Bertha, who took you, and the great ringmaster in that tuxedo and tails. The red tails, remember? And here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, John Ringling North proudly brings to the St. Louis Arena the Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey Circus, the greatest show on earth. That's what memories were made of. And then, boy, we were eating the peanuts, popcorn, the vendors came along, and we would get scared, and the climax of the show was when a man in a white suit, you know what I'm talking about, the cannon, right, shot over the cannon into a net 200 feet away. Wow, that was entertainment. The world is changing. The National Hockey League had existed for 40 years with only 6 teams. Baseball was expanding. Pro football had 2 leagues at that point. In the mid-60s, the NBA had grown to 14 teams. On and on. But the National Hockey League was limited to 6 teams. Who can name them? The Chicago Blackhawks. Who else?
Toronto and Montreal.
Toronto, Montreal, that's 3.
New York.
New York is 4.
Philadelphia.
No? Detroit. And the 6th one were
Philadelphia.
not yet.
Boston.
Boston Bruins. There you go. What is your name, sir?
Randy.
All right, Randy. You know more sports than me.
I just do hockey.
Just hockey. All right. All right. Well, the owners of the National Hockey League knew that there would be expansion of another league coming in to compete. So in 1965, the NHL owners decided to do a dramatic expansion that had never been tried before in the history of professional sports, doubling the size of its current alignment of teams. Now, who were the next 6 teams chosen? And we will start the prizes at $25,000. All right? Now, I'll start it. The Minnesota North Stars. Who else came in
The Blues.
with the Blues? The Blues are number 2. Sir? I think you were about to say the California Golden Seals, the Oakland Seals. All righty? Now, let's see who else. The Oakland Seals, and off the Delaware River at the confluence of Pennsylvania and Delaware were the Philadelphia Flyers, the St. Louis Blues, the Minnesota North Stars, and then, let's see, I believe we've rounded out the complement of the next 6 teams. The Oakland Seals, and then there was the birth of the Blues. Jen? Da-da-da-da-da-bum-bum. The St. Louis Blues. The birth of the Blues. And who wrote the St. Louis Blues March?
W.C. Handy.
W.C. Handy, Kenny Winkler. Nobody's going to catch you today, I'll tell you. All right, in the arena. Oh, that beloved arena. I can remember going when I moved here and visited my wife's family in the early 80s, the smell of that arena for a Blues Saturday night game. And remember, it was the social event of the season. Remember how particularly your moms and the ladies would dress up as if they were going to the Chase Club for a hockey game. The mink stoles, the hats, the glamour of going. Even the toilet bowl water was blue at the arena. The Arena Club was developed, where you could go for dinner, cocktails before, during, and after the games. And an insurance executive, Sid Solomon, was the principal owner, and he had several partners, and they bought the building from the Blackhawks owner, James L. Norris, for $2 million, and had to pay $2 million for an expansion franchise in which they got outstanding players who had been really buried in the minor leagues for the most part. Doubling the league gave opportunities, including the Plager brothers. There was, to the left, Billy Plager, the younger one, number 23. Number 5 was the legendary Bob Plager, who just left us a year ago. Tough defenseman, maybe among the top fighters, dropping the gloves. And then his older brother, the captain and later coach, the legendary Barclay Plager. The birth of the Blues. The arena had a wonderful renovation. The arena was the model. Jen? The Blues, led by Coach Scotty Bowman, Ian Scotty Bowman, a boy from the Toronto metro area, was a promising player until in his junior days he injured his back so severely he could never play competitive hockey again. But he was brilliant. He was a motivator, a strategizer, a champion coach in junior hockey, and he became the coach in November of 1967, and led our Blues to 3 consecutive Western Division champions. Now, twice we played a team from up north and once from New England. Who were those teams?
Boston.
Boston in 1970, in Montreal in 68 and 69 for the Stanley Cup champion. And again, we were a new team, but we played them tough. And those established franchises knew that they were in a tough match against Scotty Bowman and the original St. Louis Blues. Jen? Now, I alluded to what is still regarded as maybe the greatest college basketball player, coach, Bill Walton, 6'11", from San Diego, California, 3-time All-America at UCLA, MVP of the NBA in 1978 when he led the Portland Trail Blazers to a world championship, and later a very successful broadcaster. And the man from Indiana, the man they call Coach. Who was he? John Wooden. Remember, from Purdue University, who took over UCLA in 1946 after the war and led UCLA to an unprecedented 8 NCAA championships in the 60s and 70s. And other events, we talked about them. Oh, Billy Graham Crusades. All right. Was he an inspiring preacher and teacher? And the ABA Spirits in the competitive American Basketball Association played here for 3 years and owned by the Silner brothers, who were not sadly taken into the NBA when the ABA folded in 1976. However, the Silner brothers held out, and they wanted to be in the NBA. Well, the NBA did not want the Spirits in it, so they compromised. they gave the Silner brothers, Harry and Jack, a deal where they could get 0.1% of TV revenue of the NBA, which in the 70s was low. Now you couldn't buy a Pepsi-Cola for what it was going for. However, the Silner brothers maybe made $10,000 the first year of that deal with TV revenue. But by the 1990s and 2000s, when the NBA exploded in popularity, the Silner brothers cleared $250 million without a single dime expended by them by accepting a compromised television deal for a league they had no part of after 1976. Some say the greatest deal in sports history. All right, Jen. Now, the end of an era. The arena had aged in place to be replaced by a modern building with restaurants, more locker rooms, covered parking. And in '94, the arena closed forever. It was replaced by the new Kiel Center, which was adjacent to the old Kiel Auditorium, pictured to the right. And now it is called Enterprise Center. It was Savas Center and had other names in its first 30 years. And now is one of the great buildings in pro and college sports. But, next slide. We will always call this our entertainment home away from home. Look at that. Opening game, October 11th, 1967. And for season tickets, call MI40900. What did MI stand for?
Mission.
What was it?
Mission.
Mission. All right. Boy, and they sold season tickets galore. This town, your relatives, your family, some of you would put out $6 a game to get your, now that can't buy you a Pepsi, much less a season, a game ticket. But it was a palace. And truth be told, yes, I moved here in 1984. Chief among it was to be a member of my wife's extended family. Second was a bigger job at the local JCC, the Jewish Community Center. I'm a retired social worker now. But a very close top priority was to be able to go to St. Louis Blues hockey at the St. Louis Arena. And you know what attracted me? The smells. The cigar smells. The burnt cigars, burnt hot dogs, popcorn, peanuts, and grilled onions and sauerkraut. Oh, and this Sunday, my wife and I are hosting our 15th consecutive Super Bowl party. And God willing, my Buffalo Bills will get back there someday. And you know what we're going to have? We have a Foreman grill. And I'll be cooking those delicious. If you haven't had kosher hot dogs, try it. I guarantee Hebrew National, go to Deerbergs or Schnucks, get them for Sunday. But on my Foreman grill are going to be grilled onions and sauerkraut. And for one brief and shining moment, my home at 111 Leisure Lane. What a name. Leisure. I live on Leisure Lane for 40 years now. In unincorporated county north of Creve Coeur. You're all invited. I'll have extra hot dog. Jen, get the bus.
Got it.
All right, build a streetcar between now and Sunday. All right, actually, I live almost due north. All right, so and we're going to end because I am almost at the end of my time. I want to know what memories of events, concessions, stars, anything that any of you have about our beloved St. Louis Arena. The floor is open. Ma'am.
Circuses. The circuses.
The circuses. Right, the Shrine and the Ringling Brothers. Wow. What was your favorite thing about the circus?
The animals.
The animals. All right. Lions and tigers and bears. All right, thank you. What is your name?
Dorothy.
Dorothy. Where'd you go to high school, Dorothy?
Roosevelt.
Roosevelt. Oh, you were a Rough Rider. And who was your great rival high school?
I what?
Your opponent. The other great South Side high school? Cleveland. But what about McKinley? Whoa.
Oh, that's,
All right. Boy, and you were the sweetheart of Roosevelt High. Class of 1980. All right? So, other memories of the St. Louis Arena. Ma'am. Go ahead.
John Denver concert, April 14th, 1981.
Wow.
It has snowed,
Yeah?
but,
In April.
and intermission, he let his band go rest, but he played through the whole intermission.
Really?
The whole night long. It was fantastic.
Wow. He was just a great, I saw him around that same time, on one of his last concert tours, and I'm thrilled that he played at the arena. Country Roads, Take Me Home. Wow, John Denver, great memory. Thank you. And you know the date and the weather. Any other great memories of the arena? Well, oh, there we go.
Coming out when it was 100 degrees and trying to move out of my tight spot.
Uh-oh, the parking lot.
With no power steering.
Right, and you can, and you can get 100-degree weather, particularly during the playoffs. Right?
Yes.
All right. Okay, back there. We'll get to everyone.
Couple things. One,
Yeah.
I thought during World War II, they built the gliders in the arena. The wooden-
The gliders, that's right.
Isn't that true?
Yes, it is true. We were the aircraft manufacturer of the arsenal of democracy during the war. We had the great aircraft plants in North St. Louis that built the B-29s, B-17s, and gliders were indeed manufactured at the arena because they had the space. Thank you for noting that. Someone else had their hand up here. Sir.
St. Louis Hawks playing the Boston.
The Boston Celtics.
When the Celtics had Bob Cousy
Yes.
and
Bill Russell,
and the Hawks had
Pettit.
Bob Pettit.
Bob Pettit, Clyde Lavelle,
Yes.
Cliff Hagan.
And Cliff Hagan, number 16 from Kentucky. Yeah. All right. Ma'am.
In 1982, it was John McEnroe and Mats Wilander in like the Davis Cup, I think, semifinals.
Yes.
Which was a 6-hour tennis match. I mean, it was, how many tiebreakers was it?
Wow.
I think on record it is the longest.
They were great rivals.
Yeah.
And we can see John McEnroe as a commentator to this day on NBC and USA networks for great tennis. Wonderful memory. Indoor tennis, the Davis Cup at the arena. Any other great memories? Well, one more. Ma'am?
This is not a memory. Did you learn anything about the construction of the arena?
Yes.
Because Kay Wood's father was a builder.
Oh my
There.
God.
Worked for Mississippi Valley Structural Steel that
Really?
built the arena.
Wow. And Mississippi Valley Structural Steel, it was constructed over a 2-year period, 1928 and 1929. Okay, your dad worked for that company?
Yes.
Right.
For 80 years.
80 years. Wow.
He worked for Danny, for Mississippi Valley for
Wow.
80 years. He started in 14.
Boy, I would have liked to have had his pension. So, in any case, that is wonderful. And again, They literally popularized the dome roof that they had taken from Italian architects, and the structural steel company, very proud. What a building. I wish it were still up today.
How much did it cost to construct?
About $1.3 million approximately. Yeah, it was expensive because it was almost all brick. And then the raised dome roof. It's interesting, look at these arches above here, and it sort of reminds me of it. You have been a wonderful audience, and I don't want to overstay my welcome. I hope to come back someday soon.
Please do.
Let your committee, you come up with the ideas. We'll have a program that will hopefully inform, educate, and most importantly, entertain. Thank you, everyone. Good day.
And Ken will actually be, this one's echoing. Ken will actually be here for our next veterans meeting. He will be doing a presentation, so we will see him March 3rd, Hank, okay? And then, yes, we will definitely have him back on another topic. So thank you, Ken.
Thank you, everyone. Bye now.